I apologize ahead of time for the mic quality in this video. What's up, boys? We're back at it again for more Joestar Strike. Now, last episode, we romanced Joseph. This episode, we're gonna go for Jotaro. So, I'm gonna load my save. This is where Jonathan asks me to choose a seat. So I'm assuming that this one at the back is Jotaro, because Jotaro is, obviously the quiet one, who probably just wants to be left alone, so we're gonna choose this one. Any student would agree that the back of the class is the sweet spot of seats, so my choice is a no-brainer. I hike my backpack up on my shoulder and make a beeline to the back of the room. As I situate myself, Mr. Jonathan launches back into his lesson. Within minutes, I fall back into the normal school routine of taking notes and zoning out. Seems like the school is just the same as anywhere you go, really. When the class ends, Josuke is the first to grab his bag and leave. I shrug to myself and grab my own bag. Ben, would you mind staying back for a minute or two? Again, another request that I have to fulfill even if I don't want to. Teachers have too much power. Sure. I hang back as the class filters out. When the last student leaves, I'm completely alone with Mr. Jonathan. I can't help but notice how freaking big he is. Damn it! Did I choose Jonathan by mistake? I bet I did. Oh well. He could break me like a damn toothpick if he wanted to, but when he smiles like that, I can't imagine him hurting a fly. How was your first day? Is this really what he wanted to talk to me about? Huh, that's kinda sweet actually. School's school. Oh, before I forget, he goes to his desk and grabs a neatly stapled packet of papers. You live close to one of your fellow classmates. He holds the papers out to me. He didn't come to class today, so I thought you could drop these off on your way to home. It'll be a great way for you to meet the last of our little class. I take the packet from him and look over the first page. It was the stuff we went over in class today. Sure, that shouldn't be a problem. Jonathan smiles at me. Thank you, Ben. He leans forward a little bit, and thank you for joining our class. I know things are a little bit different here at whatever the fuck that is, Academy, but I know you're gonna do great. Jonathan wouldn't say gonna, he would say going to! I leave quickly, a light blush creeping to my cheeks. With the packet of homework Mr. Jonathan gave me, I followed the directions to Jotaro's house! Yeah! It is Jotaro! He lives on the same street as me, so this shouldn't take long. As I head for the house number, scribble on my post-it note, my gunk clutches in anxiety. What I've heard about Jotaro comes to mind, and I gulp. He can't be that bad. I'm sure what I was told is he's just an exaggeration or something. Sure, he seems to have a bad reputation at a school made for delinquent punks, but how bad can he be? I mean, I go to that school, and that's not like I deserve... Oh, I found it. It's only a handful of houses away from mine. I double-check the house number to make sure it's correct before stepping up to the front door. Letting out a deep breath, I press the doorbell. It's quiet. I can't hear any footsteps from inside, or at least a voice reassuring me someone's on their way to answer. I ring the doorbell again. It's still quiet. Maybe nobody's home? I lean back and check the driveway, but as I do so, the door clicks as if being unlocked. I stand up straight to greet whoever answered and find myself face to face with the broodiest mug I've ever seen. Here he is! My words fail me. Is this Jotaro? This tall, beefy mofo that's staring at me as if hoping to evaporate where I stand? I open my mouth to speak, but I don't know where to begin. What's up, man? I also go to that whack-ass school. Jotaro isn't about any of that, so I feel just being formal would be good. Good evening, I'm your new classmate. My name is Ben, and Mr. Jonathan asked me to drop these off for you since I only live down the street from here. I offer him the packet of schoolwork. I'm keeping my eyes on the printed text. Jotaro doesn't say anything, and I gulp. I inch the homework forward a tiny bit, hoping he'd just take the damn thing. Before too much of an awkward moment passes, he grabs it. Thanks. I look up in time to catch him nod at me in appreciation. That was really all I needed to do. I guess I can just excuse myself and go home, but you are Jotaro, right? He looks back at me as if to confirm. It really is nice to meet you, Jotaro. I'll see you... Yep, sounds about right. He shuts the door in my face without a word. Around. I scoff under my breath. Asshole. But that only means my little task is done. I turn around to leave the property and head straight to my house to conclude the day. Where the hell's the snooze button? There it is. Alright, I'm up. I sit tiredly and look at my clock. The little glowing numbers tell me it's still pretty early. I had set it to early with the intentions of getting to school before everyone else, and maybe talking with Mr. Jonathan a bit more. But now that it's actually time to put effort into the idea, I'm not so sure. That snooze button is looking like a damn temptress. Let's get up. I lean forward a bit and turn off the alarm before slumping over. Ginning Academy, Day 2, start. Like I thought, the campus is a ghost town, not another soul in sight. I wonder if Jonathan's even here yet. I look at my watch. School doesn't start for another hour. Oh well, if he's not here, I'll just nap at my desk to pass time. I'm not sure who jumps harder when I open the door, me or Mr. Jonathan. He bolts up from his desk, making some papers scatter. Oh, Ben, good morning. Did I scare you? My bad. Jonathan scrambles up to pick the papers. He sets them up on his desk in an untidy pile. That is not true! Jonathan is a gentleman! He would make sure that the papers are only in the nicest stack! He looks a little sheepish. I'm not used to students coming in so early. Actually, you're the first student that's come in early since I've started teaching here. Delinquence and tardiness go hand in hand, after all. I'm sorry if I was interrupting. Oh, no, not at all. In all honesty, I might have dozed off just a little bit. Even Mr. Jonathan, with his seemingly endless good cheer, had a hard time staying awake in the morning. Relatable. But anyways, is there a reason you're here so early? Do you need to talk with me about something? I hadn't thought this bit through. I want to spend time with you? No, this is Jotaro's playthrough. We need to report on yesterday's mission. That is tempting, though, since Jonathan is a god. Want to report on yesterday's mission. Jonathan blinks before breaking into a grin. Yesterday's mission, huh? With Jotaro? I give a salute. Yes, sir, it went, well, as good as you'd expect. But I delivered the papers. That's great to hear, and it's very considerate of you to come to school early to let me know. He takes his eyes take on a knowing gleam. Is that all you wanted to tell me? An hour is quite a lot of time for you to deliver a few sentences. My salute shrivels, and I drop my hand back to my side. Nope, that was all I wanted to say. I guess I got a little overeager and kind of highballed the time I should get here. That makes Mr. Jonathan laugh. At the very least, I appreciate your enthusiasm. We both go quiet. I shuffle on my feet. What the hell am I supposed to do now? With my lack of words, it seems my stomach has decided to step in the silence. Jonathan scowls. Ben, did you skip breakfast? Maybe. When he puts his hands on his hips, I know I'm in for a scolding. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You should always... Okay, so I might have accidentally skipped breakfast too. The pot calling the kettle black. Well, luckily for the both of us, I brought a little something. It was going to be my lunch, but hey, when in Rome, I reach into my bag and pull out an orange. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. Oh, I think I might have some granola bars in my desk. I split the orange, and Mr. Jonathan finds a single granola bar. He breaks it in half and gives me the larger portion. He pulls up a desk next to me, and we sit together as we eat. It's not the most hearty breakfast, but it's nice sharing our ragtag meal together. Thank you for breakfast, Ben. Back at you. He smiles, and I notice a bit of granola clinging to his face, right at the corner of his mouth. Oh boy, that's cute. This is Jonathan's playthrough, isn't it? Let's, I still want to take the chance. Tell him it's there. Mr. Jonathan, you've got a little something. I motion to the corner of my lips, and he blushes before wiping his mouth. Thank you, Ben. I can be a bit of a messy eater sometimes. No problem. The guy's a bit of a mess all around, sleeping at school, constantly playing catch-up with grading papers, and now, evidently, his eating habits. It kinda adds to his charm, though. Mr. Jonathan stands from the desk and scoots it back to its proper place. I've got a bit of work to do before class starts. Yeah, of course. I'm gonna get a little reading in. Jonathan settles at his desk as I pull out my book. Now, where did I leave off? Class yet again. As dull as it should be to hear the same thing again, I find that I've got plenty to keep my mind occupied. This is Jonathan's playthrough, isn't it? I'd noticed the day before, but it still is enrapturing to watch Mr. Jonathan teach. The way he gestures with his hands, the way his eyes light up with his passion. He's definitely a standout kind of guy. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little moved by his tenacity. Oh shit, there's Iggy right there. He's got one hell of a bright future in front of him. I just hope those punks don't break the spirit before then. I sit up and turn my alarm off before stretching. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd get up so early with no fuss, but I've been doing without a problem for the past month. After a shower, I pack breakfast and head out to school. Good morning, Ben. Morning, Mr. Jonathan. You got the goods? Jonathan looks around in mock paranoia. Depends. Do you have your end of the bargain? I pull out a bento from my backpack and show it to him. Let's do this trade together. No funny business. Jonathan grabs something from his desk and holds it out slowly as I extend the breakfast. At this point, we both can't hold back smiles. 1, 2, 3! We switch our items and Jonathan laughs. He grabs his shirt collar and leans his mouth forward, like he's talking into a small microphone. Men, you can stand down. Men, you can stand down. I repeat, stand down. I look at the book in my hands. Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. I've heard of the author before, but not of the book. So is this your recommendation for the week? Jonathan had popped the lid off from the container and is looking happily at its contents. It's a series. I'll let you borrow the next one when you finish. We both take a seat. I pull out a matching bento. I've learned as much that Mr. Jonathan has an appetite as big as himself, so mine doesn't have as much as his. Jonathan sighs happily around a mouthful before swallowing. You're really spoiling me with breakfast every morning, Ben. What can I say? I really like cooking. Well, that's not entirely true. I only took up the hobby since finding out what a foodie Jonathan is. I'll be the first to admit that what I put out isn't the most high-quality cuisine, but hearing Jonathan hum happily as he wolfs down what I put in front of him is an amazing feeling. I tap the book with my finger. So this book, what's it about? Jonathan covers his mouth politely as he chews and swallows. A young man caught in extraordinary circumstances. I mean, he basically summed up all of JOJO in a nutshell. What kind of circumstances? Extraordinary ones. Smart ass. Jonathan winks. There's loads of supernatural elements if that sweetens the plot. Yeah, he's just describing JOJO. With a newfound interest, I look at the cover. You know my taste too well, Mr. Jonathan. It's the only way I know how to repay you for your delicious food. Our conversation is cut off as the door opens. Who could that be at this hour? Class doesn't start for at least another 40 minutes. Oh shit! Principal Dio! Jonathan bolts up from the desk, nearly knocking his chair over. Oh? Who do we have here? I don't know why Jonathan reacted so strongly to this man's presence. Was he in trouble? He gestures towards me. The man comes over to our joined desk and peers at our breakfast coolly. Eating mediocre food and chatting instead of working. Whoa there, asshole. It might be mediocre, but you don't have to say it. My lessons plan already done for the day, Dio. The man, Dio, arches an eyebrow. What about next day's plan? The next week's? And he reaches over and boops Jonathan on the nose with a manicured nail. It's Principal Brando during school hours. You know that. So this guy's the principal. What a snooty bastard. Jonathan rubs the tip of his nose like he's getting rid of a smudge of dirt. Principal Brando. To what do I owe this pleasant surprise of a visit? The atmosphere in here's thick enough to cut with a knife. A very dull knife. I hope my little mornings with Jonathan aren't gonna get him in trouble. I was just stopping by to make sure you received my memo. His piercing gaze lands on me and I straighten up as I'm scrutinized. I hope you two aren't doing anything inappropriate. Jonathan gasps, obviously scandalized. Before he could say anything, though, Dio cuts him off. Not that I care either way. As long as your job isn't neglected, you can flirt your little heart out. My mouth drops. Just what is he insinuating? Check your email, JoJo. He leaves Jonathan standing in the middle of the room, slack-jawed. He blinks and closes his mouth, a blush ghosting his cheeks. I'm so sorry about that. Principal Brando, I shake my head, still in shock. Nothing to be sorry about. I guess I should have, I've been kind of impeding on your mornings. You listen to me, Ben. You aren't impeding at all. Spending my mornings with you has been wonderful. If anything, I've gotten a bit selfish with it, expecting you to wake up early and come visit me. It isn't selfish if you aren't telling me to do it. Besides, I'm doing it because I like spending time with you. The words leave my mouth before I can even think. Jonathan is shocked. I'm shocked. Wow, I can't believe I just came out and said that. I'm pretty sure my cheeks are glowing. I don't know why you like spending time with an old man like me, but I like spending time with you too, Ben. My mouth flaps like a fish out of water as I try to respond. I swallow hard and decide to bypass the compliment and change the subject somewhat. Old man, you don't seem that old to me. I might not be physically old, but I know my tastes are a bit dated for a 23-year-old. He's not old! He's not old. He's only 3 years older than I am. Jonathan laughs. I know I can be a quit boring. We're only 5 years apart. Okay, so I am 18 then. I guess this is Jonathan's playthrough, so let's do it. I wanted to, I don't want this to seem like bad because, like, it's not that I didn't want to do Jonathan's playthrough. I just thought since he's the teacher, we should save the best for last. But let's go for it. We're only 5 years apart. Oh, is that so? It's pretty crazy, isn't it? I'm a student going to a school because it's mandatory, and here you are, only a few years older with a career and your whole life figured out. It's pretty weird when you put it like that. Ugh. But wait, you only feel like school's an obligation? Well, I mean, yeah. I can see it on his face that he wants to launch into a gentle scolding about how school is important and all that nonsense, so I decide to switch gears. So the principal, you guys seem pretty close. For some reason, Jonathan looks a little sad. I never really considered us close, as much as I'd like us to be. But yes, Principal Brando is my brother. Huh, I would have never guessed. With the hoity-toity way Dio acted around Jonathan, I can't imagine them growing up together. Their personalities are so different. I'm sure there was a lot of friction between them in their youth. But speaking of Dio, I need to check that memo he sent. He takes a seat at his desk, and I start cleaning our breakfast as he clicks his mouse and clacks his keyboard. The desks are back in order, and our bentos are packed in my bag when Jonathan gives a gasp. What is it? He stands from his desk, grinning from ear to ear. This memo isn't what I was expecting at all. It's clear he's excited, and I have to admit, I'm starting to get excited. Well, what's the news? Probably the field trip. Jonathan bounces on his heels and sucks his lips, as if he's trying to hold the words in. Should I tell you, or make you wait to find out with the other students? Ah, what a tease. He wants to tell me as much as I want to know. Tell me! Jonathan managed to keep his silence, but all for a sec, he lets the secret out in a gust of breath. Class trip to the beach. I don't know what I was expecting, and even though it sounded fun, I don't think it's all that surprising. But Jonathan is obviously pumped about it, and I can't much match his enthusiasm. Oh, wow! Right? He laughs happily. This will be my first class trip with my students. They're gonna be so excited. God, he's precious. I'm not really one for class trips, and in any other circumstances I wouldn't go, but I'm really looking forward to it. The door opens and two students walk in, looking groggy and ready for the day of learning. Jonathan and I smile at each other before we fall into our teacher-student roles again. Jesus, my hair looks fucking awful. Alright boys, that ends part 1 of Jonathan's playthrough. This playthrough isn't going to be what you think, and you'll see what I mean by that in a bit, but, yeah, just know this, there are a few surprises in store for this playthrough, so, with that in mind, I'm Ben Insanity, and I'll see you guys in the next video.